The city of New York was alive with flashing cameras, screaming fans, and endless headlines as Jungkook, the youngest member of BTS, captivated the global fashion scene with his appearance at Calvin Klein's highly anticipated New York Fashion Week show. Dressed in his now iconic all-black ensemble, a sharp double-breasted blazer paired with sleek tailoring, Jungkook reaffirmed his position as both a music and fashion powerhouse. Social media erupted, hashtags trended worldwide, and every lens was fixed on him. But beneath the chaos, a quieter story has begun to unfold, one that has left fans stunned. Multiple eyewitness accounts and blurry fan-taken photos suggest that BTS's eldest member, Jin, was also in New York at the very same time, moving quietly and unnoticed just blocks away from Jungkook's spotlight. While the crowd focused entirely on Jungkook's grand entrance and exit at Calvin Klein's headquarters, Jin allegedly walked through the same city streets, blending into the background in casual attire, avoiding detection from even the most watchful armies. The speculation began late Friday night when an image surfaced on X, formerly Twitter, showing a tall man in a black cap and mask, flanked by what appeared to be HYB staff members. The caption, written by a passerby with no connection to BTS fandom, casually read, "Saw this guy who looked like someone famous near Soho, but no one paid attention." Within hours, armies zoomed in and began piecing together clues, pointing out similarities in Jin's build, posture, and style. If true, Jin's presence in New York raises intriguing questions. Was he there to support Jungkook behind the scenes, choosing to let the youngest shine without distraction? Or was it part of a larger, undisclosed schedule connected to his growing influence in both music and fashion? Either way, the idea of Jin being in the same city, so close to Jungkook yet unseen, has set off a storm of theories across fan communities. What makes this revelation more fascinating is the stark contrast in experiences. Jungkook, mobbed by fans and media, dominated headlines as Calvin Klein's global ambassador, while Jin, fresh off his triumph in Paris with Gucci, may have walked freely through New York without a single camera recognizing him. It was a moment that perfectly symbolized BTS's unique duality, one brother basking in the public glare, the other mastering the art of invisibility in plain sight. Whether Jin's secret presence will ever be officially confirmed remains unknown. Big Hit Music has declined to comment, leaving the mystery wide open. Yet for armies, the very possibility has sparked an emotional frenzy. Even if no one saw him, Jin being near Jungkook makes it feel like they were together. One fan wrote on X, a sentiment echoed thousands of times. As the story develops, one truth is undeniable. Jin may not have been in the spotlight, but his quiet shadow over New York has added an entirely new layer to BTS's ongoing dominance. And in a city that never sleeps, it seems even silence can become a headline when it comes to BTS. As the rumor spread across social media, armies worldwide were quick to respond with an emotional mix of surprise, admiration, and bittersweet longing. For many, the idea of Jin quietly being in New York at the same time as Jungkook was not merely coincidence, but a silent gesture of support. Fan accounts on X began trending hashtags like #JinInNYC and #HyoungWatchingMagne, with thousands of posts speculating that Jin had deliberately stayed out of the spotlight to allow Jungkook his moment of glory. "That's just like Jin," one fan wrote. "He's always been the protective Hyung, cheering from the sidelines while letting others shine." Another viral post with over 100,000 likes read, "Jungkook had the cameras, but Jin gave him the comfort of not being alone in the city." The emotional weight of this speculation grew heavier as fans shared memories of BTS's early days, when Jin would often speak about watching over Jungkook like an older brother. Now, years later, the same dynamics seem to be playing out on a global scale, the Magne commanding fashion headlines and the Hyung quietly anchoring him from the shadows. International outlets began picking up on the fan theories. Al Korea described the possibility as a poetic contrast between visibility and invisibility, while Billboard highlighted how such speculation only strengthened the mythology of BTS's brotherhood. Some fashion critics even suggested that Jin's rumored presence could have been strategic, a way to test the waters for a possible joint appearance at a future event without overwhelming the spotlight at Calvin Klein. Regardless of whether the blurry figure in Soho was truly Jin, the story has ignited a wave of affection among fans. To them, Jin's potential presence in New York is not about confirmation or denial. It's about the unshakable bond between BTS's eldest and youngest, a bond that requires no stage, no cameras, and no headlines to be real. And so, while Jungkook's gray suit and Calvin Klein dominance continue to dominate fashion talk, It is Jin's invisible hand, silent, steady, and unseen, that has captured the hearts of ARMY once more. In the days following the frenzy, international media outlets began weaving the narrative into something larger, something that stretched beyond a mere sighting. For them, Jin's rumored presence in New York wasn't just a coincidence, but a possible sign of what's to come. That Harper's Bazaar US hinted at the idea that Calvin Klein and Gucci, two of the world's most powerful fashion houses, might soon stage an unprecedented crossover moment. Imagine Jin representing Gucci's timeless elegance standing next to Jungkook, Calvin Klein's emblem of modern boldness, on the same runway. The piece speculated, it would not just be fashion, it would be history in the making. Meanwhile, The Guardian in London took a slightly different angle, suggesting that HYB and its partners may be intentionally placing BTS members in different but complementary fashion spheres. The article argued that Jin's rumored movements in New York, paired with his recent Paris triumph, could be a strategic play to position him as an invisible bridge between East and West, between Gucci and Calvin Klein. The only thing left, the journalist wrote, is for the two worlds to collide, and when they do, Jin and Jungkook might lead the charge. Fans, of course, ran wild with the theories. Threads on Reddit's r/Bangtan and countless TikTok edits began circulating under the title Fashion Brothers, Gucci x Calvin Klein? Millions of views later, the consensus seemed clear. ARMYs wanted to see Jin and Jungkook share a stage, whether at New York Fashion Week, Paris Men's Fashion Week, or even a joint brand collaboration. For now, there is no official confirmation. Big Hit Music has maintained its silence, offering no comment on Jin's alleged presence in New York. But the silence has only fueled the intrigue, leaving fans to interpret the pieces of the puzzle themselves. What is certain, however, is that both Jin and Jungkook have carved out undeniable places in the fashion world. Jin has captured luxury's poetic elegance, while Jungkook commands modern edginess and raw charisma. Together, they represent two powerful extremes of global style, extremes that, if brought together, could redefine what it means for K-pop idols to be cultural titans beyond the stage. And so, the question lingers in headlines and fan conversations alike. Was Jin really in New York to quietly support Jungkook? Or was this the first whisper of a seismic moment in fashion history still waiting to be revealed? As the dust settles on New York's frenzy, and the whispers about Jin's hidden presence continue to echo across social media, one truth remains clear. Every move by BTS members, seen or unseen, creates waves that ripple far beyond the immediate moment. What seemed like a simple fashion event has evolved into something bigger, a story of brotherhood, strategy, and anticipation for ARMY. The imagery is almost cinematic. Jungkook, in his sharp gray suit, conquering the flashing lights of Calvin Klein, while Jin, the quiet guardian, possibly walking the same city streets unnoticed, his presence felt more than seen. Together, they create a narrative that is less about fashion and more about destiny. Two different stages, two different roles, but one shared legacy. And with BTS's full group comeback already slated for spring 2026, this moment feels like a prelude. Every sighting, every rumor, every speculation is now viewed through the lens of what's coming next. Will Jin and Jungkook, who already dominate separate worlds, finally merge their forces on a global platform? Will HYB allow the Hyung and Magne to stand together as not just musical icons, but as cultural ambassadors for the world's biggest fashion houses? Fans believe this is more than wishful thinking, it's foreshadowing. The idea of Jin and Jungkook standing shoulder to shoulder, one embodying timeless elegance, the other exuding youthful boldness, feels inevitable. Whether it happens in Paris, New York, or Seoul, the impact will be monumental, reshaping how K-pop interacts with global culture. For now, the mystery remains unsolved. Was Jin truly there, quietly supporting Jungkook from the shadows? Or was the man in those blurry photos just another passerby mistaken for the eldest BTS member? Big Hit silence leaves the question open-ended, but perhaps that is the point. In the world of BTS, sometimes the silence speaks louder than the spotlight, and as 2026 approaches, fans can't help but feel that all these threads, fashion, music, brotherhood, and global influence, are weaving together into something unprecedented. If this really is the calm before the storm, then Jin's shadow in New York may not just be a rumor, but a sign.